real estate in India was a very, let's put it this way, looked down upon industry. I did my MBA and I, got like many of you, a pre-placement offer from PricewaterhouseCoopers in those days, which was considered a very good job. I worked with them for 6-7 years, and within that there was a couple of years where you did the firm PwC in those days did some real estate kind of work, and then I remember the partner I was working with, he and I discussed this, and he said, look, we are end of the day an accounting and auditing firm and not a transaction-driven firm, and you tend to realize that these consulting firms, whether they're working in the infrastructure space or they're working on any process improvement, and on the end of the day they write the report and they try to bring the change management, but life became more about actually seeing things getting done, and the nature of my personality was very dynamic. I wanted to sort of get things moving on. And then I think I got this opportunity to work with JLL. It's been a long journey. It's my 14th year with the firm. When I joined, the firm was about 100 people in India. Now they are, I think, close to 5,800 last count. And the journey has been quite spectacular. It's been on the sides of how the real estate industry in our country has moved from being in a very embryonic stage, very unstructured, very unprofessional, to the advent of the multinational companies who brought in a lot of structure to the industry. So I'm going to run you through some of, I honestly didn't know what to sort of run through with all of you, but one of the things I thought I would try and do, and Anupam said, is that, why don't you talk about corporate real estate? That's a business I know, that's bread and butter, that's the business I know back of my hand. And it's a very niche subject. You don't have very many people who specialize in it, but it's the most profitable business in our firm. It is also the business where everybody typically wants to sort of join. But one of the questions asked is that what are the skill sets? What do you really, really need to be, to do well in this business? So I've got one slide which I'm going to talk you through there. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the office real estate market, not from what's the history, but what's the next 18 to 24 months, so that we read a lot of the media on what's happening in residential and retail and office, but what's really the story. That's more of education part of it. And then a little bit about 10 minutes on a career. If any of you want to do a sort of career in real estate, what's there to really look for, and how does that career progression work? So that's really what I'm going to cover today. If you want to stop me, if you can raise your hand in the middle, very happy to answer any question at any point in time, or if you want me to explain any concept again, very happy to do that. I've got a couple of case studies. I thought that case study is a really good way to explain what we do. And so whatever I can discuss which is not confidential, I will go ahead and do that. So very quickly, this is a little bit of what's happening in the country and how it impacts real estate. There was a session I did at a corporate real estate network, which they call it Coronet, earlier in March in Singapore, and they asked me to do a session specifically linked to what's happening in the economy in India today, with the new Modi government and all the measures he's trying to do along with his team, and how does that impact corporate real estate? So very quickly I'll talk you through those, but before that we are probably at a very high GDP rate. The last quarter, I think the GDP rate, which many of you know, at 7.5%, was the highest across the globe. With the new GST coming, we'll probably go up another 100-150 basis points, which is fantastic for the country. We have inflation pretty much stable. We have had a great monsoon. We have real estate as part of the Transparency Index going up with the Real Estate Regulation Act being passed, Real Estate Investment Trust now, hopefully this year being a reality, and you know, India moving up on the ease of doing business, and a lot of foreign money, which you know, the Prime Minister's gone shopping. He said, you know, come invest in India, bring in a lot of the money, because a lot of the money is required. It's pretty cash strapped over here, and the companies, private, public, and the government are not able to generate the funds to the extent required. So the foreign direct investment is extremely critical for real estate and infrastructure to move up. We actually saw the highest ever foreign direct investment increase. Till now, you know, we've seen pretty much 23% increase already if you compare year on year to $52 billion. How much of it actually gets deployed and utilized is another matter, but you can see that there is that GDP growth number is attracting a lot of people into real estate and infrastructure. And going forward, a lot of that money is actually going to come into the corporate real estate side, which are office buildings, could be retail malls, mixed-use development, and large infrastructure projects. This is some of the reforms which, you know, the government is doing. I'm going to not pick up all of them. I'm going to pick up just maybe a couple of them. The Real Estate Regulation Act. You know, earlier what it was is that, you know, you could buy a piece of land from the government or privately, and just based on a plan you could get the revenue in, and there was no mechanism to secure the investor money. You could actually take that money and buy more land, and you used to use that money not to develop the project for which you've taken the money from the investor. You could use that money. There was no authority, there was no regulator to actually, you know, manage that, and that created a lot of bad habits for the developers. And the Real Estate Regulation Act getting passed in March helped. They also got corporate office, commercial real estate as part of it. That the main reason was to sort of it is pretty investor and end user specific, which is a great thing to happen. Further reform in FDI and real estate, as you would have read, last year in November, the government eased the thresholds in foreign direct investment. It's now come down to 20,000 square meters. They've also come down and, you know, eased a whole bunch of you know, repatriation norms, etc. And all that is getting translated now. The 100 smart cities concept, you know, each of the state governments are now actually pitching to get that money. Not everybody will get that money. So whoever has the best pitch, it could be based on connectivity, it could be based. So all that is, you know, is going on. And some of the smarter cities are the ones who are trying to, you know, do that and get from the government. I spoke about the Real Estate Investment Trust. These are basically, the main thing is that the foreign money through the FDI which comes into India needs to exit. And for them to exit, which is a very important component for them to invest in India in the first place, they need a structure like a Real Estate Investment Trust or very open, transparent, and well-explained repatriation law. So, you know, they want to protect their investments. So the REIT is a great thing to happen. It went through lots of hiccups, but you know, they've really eased the taxation norms. So REIT's another. I spoke on the goods and services tax. It remains to be seen when and how that will impact, and, you know, what percentage they will bring in the GST. But that's another thing. In Make in India, that's the last one. You know, the Prime Minister's concept has generally been that, look, India is great in services, but it cannot only sustain that GDP just based on services, which is in the technology sector or the technology-enabled sector, or, you know, any service-related sector. And manufacturing is very, very critical to sustain that 7.5–8% GDP. So in a lot of his trips, he's gone shopping to get commitments in the manufacturing side of things, because the user demand, the local user, domestic user demand is very, very strong. And if you go around the world outside of India right now, there are not very many places which offer these kind of opportunities for foreign funds. So foreign companies, multinational companies. You will see over the next 12 to 18 months or 24 months, you will see many more sound bites, whether it's in media or on the ground, where that's going to come to fruition, which means that money is coming here. So this is some of, from a policy perspective, it's just a bit of a background based on what's happening in the economy, and how and if you heard the last 5 minutes of spoken, you would sort of try and draw some simile to how does the next section work, which is corporate real estate. I'm going to skip this slide. It basically shows that India has moved up the transparency index, which is a very good thing because foreign money looks at this very closely. So the more you move up, the more the tap opens for money to come into corporate real estate. This is a very interesting slide. This JLL sort of pioneered this about 15-20 years ago, and we call it the property clock. And what the clock does is it rotates clockwise, and it basically completes the cycle and is back in the cycle. Now how long that clock takes to move up and down is pretty much depends on the market. And in 2003, we used to move up and down the clock in about 12 months. Now that clock can take as much as 7 to 10 years. So as the markets mature, as office market matures, the time taken to move up and down the clock also increases. Obviously, there's a high growth. The higher the growth in the economy, the faster the clock moves, the faster the hands move. If you look at the clock, it's basically 4 quadrants. Growth slowing, value declining slowly, and value rising. Basically, if you convert it to rental, which is, when you lease office space as a corporate, obviously you pay the base rent, which we all understand. Now, if you see the first quadrant 1 where value declining, that shows rents falling fast. The second quadrant shows rents falling slow. The third quadrant shows rents rising slow, and the fourth quadrant it shows rents rising fast. Now this is it's a function of demand supply. It's a function of absorption and vacancy rate. It's a function of a whole bunch of things. But this is a great way to sort of understand what's the next outlook, 18 to 24 month outlook in the office market. So today in India we have a total grade A, and when I say grade A, it means stock buildings which are good quality developments which have proper nice facade, professional maintenance company, they who manage it, good quality specifications, lifts, power backup, all of that. So there's no clear definition in the Real Estate Regulation Act which talks about how does what qualifies for grade A, but typically firms like JLL and others in the industry have their own definitions which are largely the same. So there's about 464 million square feet of grade A office stock in India today. These are mainly in tier 1 cities, which are 7 of them, and these are across about 1,650 odd buildings. But if you look at the entire range of buildings, there are about some 3,900 buildings in India, office buildings. These could be a standalone office building, which is pretty small, like you have on this sector, 125, 126, 127, or it could be a large IT park, or it could be a large mixed-use development with retail, commercial, residential. But basically, you have this much of stock which is completed in the country. And at an annual rate, we are roughly, corporates are doing net absorption of 34 million square feet. What that basically means is that if I have, say, 10,000 square feet and I've vacated that and I've taken 20 more thousand square feet somewhere else, then the absorption is actually 10,000 square feet, because 20 is what I've taken, 10 what I've given up. So I've taken net of 10,000 square feet. Now we use that as a very strong barometer of growth. So if you look at, I don't have that slide, but basically over the years when the downturn hit in 2008, that absorption number fell down to something like 26 million. And now, the markets have sort of stabilized around 34, 35 million. and I think that number can probably go up to 38 to 40 million square feet in the next couple of years. So that's good. If you look at the clock, we were pretty much in quarter 4 and second quarter 2008. And typically all the big cities move in that range. They will be somewhere in the quadrant, depending on which micro market, but they basically move pretty much similar to each other. We then saw this really, very quickly the rents fell. This is quadrant 1, the value declining. We got hit by the global financial crisis in quarter 1 of 2008. The impact in India was actually not felt till quarter 3 and parts of quarter 4 in 2008. So that's where you saw a very steep decline very quickly. By quarter 3 of 2009, most of the rentals had fallen 30, 40, 50%. Then we had a really long sort of phase. That's the phase from 2009 quarter 3 right up to quarter 4 2013 or quarter 1 2014. Now that was a really long period. It was a period where all the developers put all their money into residential. All they did was they said, all right, fine, this office business is only going down. There are no takers, there's no demand. You need deep pockets, long gestation period to recover your investment. I'm not putting the money in office. And it's getting difficult to sell because there's lack of liquidity. So all of them put all their money in residential because there was no Real Estate Regulation Act, there was no regulator. You could put your finger in the map and you could basically say, let me launch a project. So if many of you were reading the newspapers from 2010, mid of 2010 or early 2010 right up to 2011 and 2012, there was a slew of launches. I mean, the newspapers are filled. The first 2-3 pages of this launch and that project launch, and the objective was very simple. The objective was you bring in money from the investor and you use that money for some development, but a lot of that money was used to pay the debts. Now these firms, these landlords, they borrowed tons and tons of money because they only knew one way. They said this market is only going up and it's not going to go in any other direction. So what they did was they bought lots of land. They tried to grab more they could chew. And when the market went down, they said, look, I can't do anything about this. So let me just try to just pay my debts and wait for the market to improve. That market never really improved. And what it did was it created lots of debt. And today what you see is that many of these developers, especially in Noida where we are in a bit of a debt trap because that market's not picked up. There's oversupply. They've used that money to service their loans or other projects, and now they just got. But the office market, so if you see residential, it's been declining since 2013-14, but office has started to move up. So we basically moved from quarter 1 2014 to today. We are pretty much in that up cycle, which is quarter 3, where rents are starting to go up. And rents in office real estate are going up, because in the last 5-6 years, nobody spent money in office. After the downturn, all the money was residential. So what you're seeing is that slowly and steadily with the absorption going up, the vacancy rates have dropped, which means that demand is now catching up with supply. In fact, demand is exceeding supply. So people who have office real estate space today in the country are very happy because they're seeing this trend after a long time. And since 2014, they've been slowly and incrementally increasing the rentals, specifically in good quality projects. The other thing you're seeing is that a lot of these cities, the vacancy, once the vacancy rates have fallen. The other reason is that the demand from domestic companies, and especially, it started off actually, the whole demand concept when we had bottomed out started with the buoyancy in the US. And suddenly all these IT budgets which were sort of seen, they started opening up their checkbooks, and all these multinational companies saying, let me spend money on IT. So companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, IBM, Accenture, Cognizant, all of them were actually the first to sort of kick off with the demand. So we saw basically a 12 to 18 month lag between what was happening in the US economy and demand for real estate in India. So 2012, the US economy bounced back, and 2013 and 2014 is when that demand started going up. So we have two reasons. One is, of course, a lack of supply because absorption is going up, and the second reason is that the demand from corporates have started going up. Since then, it's been flavor of the day. It's been either e-commerce, or it is pharmaceutical, or it is some other business which has been sustaining it. But now what you're going to see in the future, in the next 12 to 18 months, is that with the rentals going up, you're seeing a lot of the development money, or the strong money, or let's say the foreign money, which is through private equity funds or through pretty larger landlords who are well funded, or through multinational developers like Tishman, Ascendas, Heinz, these kind of guys. That money is pouring into real estate. They've been buying assets, leased assets, given this stressed position by the Indian developers. So what they've been doing is that they see this as an opportunity. They know that quadrant is eventually going to go up, and they know that these Indian developers, the likes of a Unitech or a Sheikh developer, etc., there are lots of them. They are undergoing a lot of stress. So they bought these assets at 10%, 11% yield and cap rates, and they, even if you see take some tax leakage and the spread, they're making a huge spread because they're making a lot of money. And then you get great quality tenants, who are occupying these buildings, and who are basically, what they're doing is that they're occupying these buildings and they're paying rent, and the rents are going up. So it's a great time for them because they're the only ones who have money. They're buying these assets. In fact, they bought whatever there was left to buy. Now there's nothing left to buy. And with the rents going up, they're saying, now I'll do speculative development because now I know that the rents are still going to go. So what's happened is that the ownership patterns have changed. Out of the 464 million square feet, these multinational developers and funds owned a very, very minuscule, less than 5%, 5 years ago. Today, that has gone up to as much as 15-20%. And that's going to continue a trend to 25 to 30% over the next 12 to 18 months. You will see the ownership of these funds and this strong money with deep pockets coming to continuously buy because that's the growth rate they see. The other thing you're seeing is that they're going to improve the development, the quality of the product. So today, when you go to an office building in India, you might look at it as a great quality building, but some of the concepts and the design and the engineering around it is still very archaic. If you go to any building in say Singapore or Hong Kong or the US or London, the quality of those buildings are far superior. Now that money has never come into this space because all the landlords did was used to, especially when the markets were great, they made a structure and they stuck some glass on it and they just put some services, whatever they knew best. There's no training as such. Those buildings have started dying really, really quickly. A typical building would spend 40, 50 years. It would last 40, 50 years. But these buildings start dying within the first 5 to 10 years, and they die very quickly. So these buildings need a lot of reinvestment. So what's happened is that the quality of the building will improve. There'll be more transparency. There will be, projects will get completed on time. I'm talking about office projects. All these are great things for the tenant. And again, if you look at it with all of this happening, it will only propensate, sort of enhance the demand for real estate, quality real estate. And these are the buildings will get the premium. So that's a big thing which is happening in India right now. We are in a rent increasing model. You have Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad who are probably leading it, and Mumbai is probably sort of going to start moving up or has started moving up this year only. But if you see this space, which is let's draw from my cursor. So the moment we reach here, the move from here to here will be very quick, much faster than the move from here. We've been on this journey already for the last 2.5 years. We might spend another year here or a year and a half. But the move from here right up to the top depends upon the GDP growth in the country, it depends upon how much foreign money comes in, it depends upon which sectors do well. All of these reasons will help towards that. But the real industries which will take this up will not be the industries of technology and e-commerce who got them up here, but it will be newer industries, it will be real sectors, FMCG companies, banking, insurance, telecom, all these sectors are going to come and make a big revival. And those are the sectors which will take this to the highest end of the crop, because rents will continue to rise, they will continue to pay a premium. For them, real estate spent as part of total cost isn't so much. So for a technology company or a back office company, real estate is about anywhere between 8 to 15% of the total spend, the largest being on people. But if you look at an FMCG company where the largest spend, or a manufacturing company where the largest spend is on the raw material, the real estate spend could be anywhere between 1 to 2%. So for them, if the rents even double, it doesn't make a big difference, because with the consumption and every other pattern picking up, they're the ones who will be affording to pay those kind of rentals. Any questions on this? Because this is a very critical part, yes.
So is the value rising in terms of rent or the infrastructure? And is the growth rising in terms of infrastructure or the rent?
So this is purely based on rent. So this is not to do with infrastructure. Infrastructure typically follows, but infrastructure accentuates the pace of the increase in rent, but it is not infrastructure. This slide has nothing to do with infrastructure. Infrastructure has two parts to it. One is inside the building itself, the project itself. That piece is obviously going up, but what that will do is that it will create a differentiation. You could be on one road with two office buildings, and one office building which doesn't have good infrastructure, it's strata sold to multiple investors. It may look good from behind, but if there is a building right next to it which is by a foreign multinational developer who's done a proper process, he's completed on time, he's got double glazed glass, he's got a fire sprinkler system, he's got a fire stairway which is 2.5 width. The piece is more a differentiator, but the concept of rents increasing is a market trend. So if it's like, if any of you, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with the stock market, it's like a blue chip stock and a penny stock. When the markets go up, the blue chip stocks goes up first, and then the penny stocks follow. And when the markets go down, the penny stocks fall faster. So it's a very similar concept in a good quality office building and a poor quality office building. But the general trend is that they tend to sort of go up.
So keeping up with the compliances also means that the lease rates will go up, isn't it, sir?
Sorry, keeping up the compliances?
Each business has a list of compliances that they have to maintain.
Right.
And in that event, because they have to reduce the risk that the business is taking. So in that event, would you say that the lease rate is directly affected by this? Probably the landlord will demand a higher lease in the event that he has a highly compliant space, or probably because he understands the need of the business is for a highly compliant space.
Yes, it's a very good point. Compliance is becoming more and more pertinent, more and more important in most corporates, especially in the banking financial services sector. Now there's so much that, there's a chief compliance officer, there's a chief risk officer. These are becoming very important positions, and all of them look at compliance. I mean, they don't mind paying a premium for that compliance. So it's a great point, and you will see that the impact of compliance will only increase as you move forward. Any other questions? Yes.
So since you said
The mic so that everyone can hear.
So since you said that
Can you please? Hold it closer to your. Speak up. Go ahead.
so since you said that the other companies like other sectors are the leaders in the market, like the hello.
Yeah.
So like other markets will be responsible for the increase in rent, like manufacturing and pharmaceuticals. So will this chart is directly proportional to the storage and warehousing as well?
Yes. So this is office. In the true sense, we do not cover industrial warehousing, storage space. But if you remember the Make in India concept the Prime Minister is trying to do, and you're trying to, all these companies will need a lot of supply chain management, very strong warehousing and transportation. That's the next big thing. It's been there for it's been there since the last 8-10 years. The demand for, but there's very limited investment there. There are very few quality players coming with quality products. Unfortunately, that's where office products were probably 15 years ago or 10 years ago, is where industrial warehouse space is. They still haven't reached that level of maturity as the office market has. But as you go forward, you will see a lot of foreign money coming into that sector, which will then improve the quality of products, because whether it's compliance or whether it is good quality, large parks, providing you, the facilities at good locations, there will be a demand by end users for that, and then that's where the next opportunity for a lot of these funds are. Yeah. Any other? Yeah, there's Jennifer in the back.
Hi sir, my name is Angad. I'm a BBA student. So basically my question is, with players like Hines and RMC for coming in, and also the Chinese telecom giants buying up a good chunk of space in Gurgaon. So how's the Grade A office space going to change? Do you think the rents are going to come down, or how's it going to be?
Well, if you read any of our research reports, the vacancy across India today is about 14%. At the peak, it touched about 19-20%. And in 2007, 2008, just before the downturn, when it was purely a market on the supply side by the landlord, the vacancy rates were down to 9%. We are at 14%, but the real vacancy is actually not more than 6-7%. Because if you go to the market as a tenant, you don't get good quality products. Because if I have a requirement of 50,000 square feet, if I have a Microsoft, when I go into the market, I will rule out all strata sold buildings where there are investors who bought different sort of 1,000 square feet kind of units. B, what I'll do is that if the quality of the building is not that great, I will reject it. C, if the location isn't good, like for example, you come into a Manesar. Now Manesar is pretty far, he's not going to get talent there for the kind of work they get done. So he'd rather pay premium to be in a good quality location with a good building than be there. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure exactly. Can you just repeat the question? I'm not sure whether I answered it properly.
So basically my question was, with players like Hines and RMC coming in, so is it going to also affect JLL's monopoly in radio?
These are very specific. I mean, RMC, there are 4 kinds of developers actually. One is the Indian developer who tried to borrow a lot. He tried to grab a lot more than he could chew, and he took a lot of exposure to residential. Those ones will have probably either sold their family jewels of great quality assets like a Unitech. They were forced to sell all their products, either starter sold or through companies like Brookfield. That's one category, and then you will see them, slowly and steadily, they will fall and they will go away. So they will either go bankrupt or whatever else they may be. The second category is the Indian developer who's been smart enough to make the right investments. He's been more exposed on office and less on residential, or not at all on residential. Those companies have realized this, and what they're doing is they're saying is, okay, all I need is money now. If I can get liquidity, I have the teams, I understand the government, how the process works, I can get all the approvals, whether it's environmental clearance or building approval, plan approval. So all I need is money. So the guys like these, like RMC, they've partnered with foreign companies to sort of bring in those investments. So whether it's with Qatar Investment Agency, or you have guys like Embassy who partnered with Blackstone, Panchsheel in Pune, you partnered with Blackstone. So that's the second category. The third category is the multinational developers like Ascendas, Hines, Tishman Speyer, Mapletree, all these guys. They've been in India for a while, but what they've done is that they have deep pockets. they're conservative, but you will see them continuing to do really well because they will take advantage of this. So you will see a lot of these commercial land parcels or unfinished projects, then going and acquiring it and developing it. And then the fourth category is really your funds, who basically are like Blackstone. Like they see a spread they've been buying since 11.5%. Now the spread has come down to sub 9%, but they're still buying these assets with the intent that they will create good quality assets. So whether it is Blackstone or it's Brookfield or it's GIC, these are the three very large names who you'll hear more and more of. All right, I'm going to just continue. So that's a little bit about what's happening in India in the office. Sorry, another question.
Yes, sir.
Typically, between a landlord and a tenant, you sign a 10-year lease, 9-year or a 10-year lease. And the landlord is married to you for all of those 10 years. In the sense that he can't ask you to get out. Once he signs the lease, it's a registered document in the government, and obviously different states have different rules, but basically, it's a registered document where you pay stamp duty, and there's no way, the landlord can throw the tenant out. But if you look at from the tenant side, the tenant typically does not give a lock-in, he doesn't bind himself by more than 3 years, typically, which means that after 3 years, he has every right to walk out. If the market is higher, he will say that, I will renegotiate because, I'm not going to pay you so much. So please reduce my rental or I'm going to go out. If he's lower than market, he's very happy. So it's a win-win situation if you're a tenant. So that's where, what it is. So when you look at a REIT basically prices in a 9-year spend. So what they do is that they will say that there is a 9-year lease and there is a fixed return on that investment. So I've spent 100 rupees and I'm getting 9 rupees every year on that investment. That's the money which goes into the investor who buys those units. So it's a long term, but what they really play is the capital appreciation. That after 9 years or 5 years, if once this tenant, so it depends on which cycle it is in. So for example, if I've invested in REIT today, and I know that 9 years later, I don't know where it's going to be in the clock. But I'm definitely playing and punting the fact that I will make my big upside is when this guy vacates after 9 years and I have someone else who's paying a much higher rental where the valuation is much. So what happens is that while you're getting a return on investment, there's a big step up on the cost of the seed. So that's great for the investor perspective. So REIT is if you're looking at it from an investor, it's a way of investing in real estate which today you can't. So as you and I or anyone else today can buy stocks because they're cheap, the lowest common denominator is small, but you can't buy a physical asset of 5,000 or 2,000 square feet because there's a lot of money to be blocked for that. So this REIT gives you a chance to buy through a very regulated market, so ownership in a building, and that's the concept. Instead of buying as investors, physical space, you will buy
virtual space.
Yeah, I mean it's a mutual fund. You're buying a unit, and the second thing is it's great for the people who are investing the funds because eventually they can exit. They can exit through a REIT. The government has put regulation where if I own say a 10-acre project which is 3 million square feet or 2 million square feet. Now that 2 million square feet I can offload through a equity or a real estate investment trust, which I have institutional buyers, I have investors, individual investors buying that off, and I've got my exit, I've got my money back, and I can take it out or put it in another project.
But do you think that the flexibility of lease rates will go down in the event that there's REIT investing in the property?
Yes. So with the REITs coming in and with your ownership of office assets getting into stronger hands, what will happen is that the flexibility which a lot of the tenants have been used to, like typically India has been a very, if you see a pendulum which moves from left to right, it's a very, in left being the tenant, right being the landlord, the pendulum is very much skewed in favor of the tenant. So what you'll see is that the pendulum getting more balanced, and you will see the flexibility in a lot of the leases coming down, and then start becoming a more level playing field for the next 3 to 4 years. This is what I thought I'll run you through a typical office transaction process. And very quickly I'll do this, and then a couple of case studies before we go to Q&A and you know, career opportunities. But this basically, a typical office transaction can take anywhere between 3-4 months to almost 3 years. Unlike a very residential business, it is highly structured, it is very complicated. The demand for you know, quality service for this is very, very high. So what ends up happening is that the planning starts well in advance. Whether you want to take additional space, lease space, and I'm talking about decent mid-size, you know, 15, 20,000 square feet going up to, you know, 1 million square feet. So what ends up happening is that there's a lot of planning which goes in, you know, where you basically look at your headcount projections, you look at business plans, you look at strategy, and you know, bring it all together. And then earlier what used to happen is that, you know, firms like ours used to get that baked and give it to us and now go execute. Now corporates and end users are expecting firms like the JLL, CBREs and CWs of the world to, you know, do that for them. They're saying is bring in a lot of science to say is that how many seats, how much square foot do I need, can I reduce, can I increase? And the objective is reduce cost, get the most innovative building or the most innovative solutions, and increase my workspace experience for the employee. So a lot of planning goes into this before you determine the space requirement. And then after that, there is a scheduling, there's a budget which is put in place, and you know, there's a team which is hired, there is you know, a real estate RFP, which you call it, where you select, you know, all the people, and you know, all that is part of the planning phase. It's very critical. So before you actually even come to the market to a landlord with a requirement brief, you know, all of this sort of ends up happening. This can take anywhere between, you know, 1-2 months to as much as 12 months. Then is the evaluation phase. In the evaluation phase, what ends up happening is that the agent, we pretty much, our teams assess the market. They say demand, supply, they look at different micro markets. Micro market means, like for example, if you're in Noida, Expressway is one micro market, you know, the sectors 58 to 63 is another micro market, you have sectors 1 to 7 another micro market, like that. So you assess different micro markets where the occupier wants to be, and you know, you look at demand, supply, rentals, options, etc. And then there's an options list which is presented, and there's a short list which is done. After the short list is done, then you basically go out on site tours, which is basically an inspection schedule. Now I think technology is actually going to take it to the next level, where you can physically sit in your workstation and do 3D view through Google Earth and, you know, concepts like Real View. So identifying options, shortlisting them, doing site tours, and after that, what ends up happening is that you plan around those different shortlisted options, and you then get into the next phase, is the execution, wherein you basically circulate a RFP to the, say, the top 3 shortlisted landlords. And develop RFP is request for proposal, which basically means is that I am making a request to the larger market to send a proposal for their offering. So RFP is circulated by firms like ourselves on behalf of the occupier to the landlords. They put that together, and after that they put that together, they basically send the proposal. Now firms like ours do a lot of qualitative and quantitative analysis, whether it is NPV, cash flow, how does it impact the P&L, etc. And you do a lot of qualitative analysis, you know, closest metro station, you know, where the larger labor pools, you know, you look at, so there's a lot of analytics which go around that. And then that's presented, and then what ends up happening is a phase of negotiation. A negotiation is a pretty complicated, sort of long, and you know, the different strategies of negotiation, but basically negotiation phase happens at different levels. They can happen at junior level, mid-level, senior level, but you must have a negotiation strategy in place. So a strategy is defined. It could be just a 2-minute strategy, or it could be a long, elongated 3-month negotiation process. And that's where it culminates in something called a letter of intent, or a memorandum of understanding, or a term sheet. And that's basically what gets executed. Typically, in different negotiations, you always negotiate with, two at the same time. So if something goes off, you always have a backup. So always prepare for a backup. The second thing on negotiation is that you always have people wearing different roles and different hats. There could be a good cop who says all the right things, and this could be someone who says all the things you don't want to hear. So these are different negotiation strategies which you use, which most of us, it doesn't. There's no book which will sort of explain to you how a book will tell you more theoretical stuff, but when you actually faced with it, it depends a lot on the individual's own abilities and how he's been brought up or how he's been educated or what are his skill sets. After the negotiation and yeah.
I heard that you have been very great at negotiations. Can you brief us about how can we be a good negotiator at the board? Can you please brief us?
Look, in a negotiation, the first thing to realize is that while you are representing one party, you also have to look at the best interests of both parties. Because if you only look at the best interests of both parties, that's only when people will respect you and appreciate you. At the same time, you have to. It's a very thin line. It's a very thin rope to sort of tread on. Because the moment you go a little bit left, where you start skewing more towards the person you're not representing, you will lose sort of trust and respect from the person you're representing, which is not a good thing. So it's a very thin line of balancing. End of the day, the objective of every negotiation is to come up with a fair deal. And communication in this plays a very, very important role. If at every stage, if the communication is proper, and beyond the olden days that, in the olden days what used to happen is, for a very simple basic example, the rent is 50, no, I want 40. And they say, no, I'll do this deal at 48. Say, no, I can come up with 45. Oh yeah, done, great, shake hands, go. Those days are long gone. I mean, it doesn't happen like that. Now, the concepts have changed. A negotiation is not just about rent. Today, rent on a project is only 5-10% of the entire negotiation. There's a whole bunch of cost which is linked to it. Secondly, when you go out and negotiate, you have to. There's always pressure to get the best. And communication plays a very important role. Is that if you proactively set the context, then the expectations are. You have to set the expectation right, very carefully. I mean, I can't explain to you in words. It's through case studies. There's one case study. I'll try and cover it off. That. Yeah, I'll cover that off. But let me to finish this.
Sir, I want to specifically ask that is there any specialized designation in your company for corporate negotiators and residential negotiators, or are they the same people who are having a specific skill set to negotiate on the workplace?
There's no such thing. There's no, but the skill sets are usually defined when you do the hiring. And typically, when you join an office brokerage business, unless it's very small, you don't get into negotiations till much later. You're not given the opportunity because you rather understand all of this, understand the knowledge of the building, the product, the market, and all of that before. So negotiation is a much more advanced stage. Financial and technical analysis, and while you've done the letter, and then after that, what happens is that there's a lot of legal due diligence, which the lawyers on behalf of both the entities do on the shortlist option. There is a lease document which is very comprehensive. Now, letters of intent themselves these days can run into 50-60 pages, but on a typical office brokerage deal, where you have annexures or technicalities, you have what at a particular date what will be delivered, etc., etc. And there are many concepts. It's not just rent. It is car parking charges. It's rent-free periods. It's option to take more space or contract space. It is about lock-in periods. It is about lease terms. It is about how can I get rent-free periods in between lease terms. So there are tons and tons of concepts. How does the maintenance charges work? What is the sinking fund? So there's lots of things which get negotiated. But basically, even the size of the space gets negotiated. Should I lease it on carpet area or super area? Or if it's a carpet area, then what is the efficiency of the building? Is it 76% or should I negotiate down to 74%? So everything is open to negotiation. The lease document is basically got legal language. So it's the LOI plus lots and lots of legal language after you've done the title due diligence. And after that, that document gets executed. It's a summary is prepared. That document then gets registered with the authorities, and then you basically continue with the rest of the process, and you prepare a closeout report, etc. So that's typically very broad explanation of the process. I remember in 2005 we tried to make a comprehensive chart. And we came up with, it was actually a process flow like in Visio, and we said is that what are the, it also had transaction, and it typically had project management and delivering the project. Now you see here these 6, and there were about 15 boxes out there. What that time in 2005 we did as an organization, we had 400 boxes. I'm talking about 400 steps, which actually is comprehensive enough for you to sort of have as a manual. When you're negotiating, you actually say that, is this done? Tick, tick, check, uncheck, etc. So, it's very complicated, but today, we're not here to do that. We're here to just give you a broad idea of how an office transaction process works. Couple of case studies. Accenture, it was a very long and old relationship of JLL's. I remember the first time Accenture came in, it came through a phone call. There was a phone call which came in to the Bangalore office and to the reception desk, and nobody answered that call. And the gentleman who called at that time, and I'm talking about 2002, he then made the call to the Delhi office of JLL, and somebody picked up the phone and pass that phone call to an agent, and they started, and Accenture said, let's do a deal in Delhi, and let's open this as our first base. And in those days, after the whole Arthur Anderson thing, nobody really cared about Accenture. They said, these guys are all tainted, and there's no way they're gonna. So that's how it started, and eventually they ran into some rough weather in Delhi, where they were looking to open their first office, and it didn't happen because the landlord just could not deliver on time, and then they went to Bangalore, and they looked at their first space in Bangalore, which is about 50,000 square feet. Since then, that's how it started, and since then, over the last 12 years or 13 years, Accenture has grown to a portfolio of 15 million square feet in India. They have about 180,000 people. They're the largest lessee of office space in the country, any single occupier, more than any other. So I'm not counting spaces which are owned by companies like TCS and Wipro, but if you look at just lease space, they're number one in the country, followed by Cognizant and then IBM. But the story with Accenture really started was, and most of us learned on the job, but companies like Accenture were really the path leaders. They're the ones who really, made the demands for a lot of the professionalism to come in from the landlord and the supply side and the quality of products. Because they came in from markets which they were accustomed to. They were accustomed to, redundancies built into, the services. They were accustomed to single ownership landlords with lots of, funding in place should something go wrong, or how do you cover risks. And those are concepts they came into the market that, we need to have flexibility to grow in a park. Because, demand, when you sell business, the services sector, demand can be pretty. So, Accenture was a pretty old relationship. Today, the firm, we just, renewed our contract, but basically, the firm provides facility management to Accenture across that 15 million square feet, transaction services, and a part of project management. Over the next, we have 5-year contracts in place, but basically, it's a roughly annually in terms of revenue, it's about a 25 to 30 crore account for JLL in India. And that's the money we make. Not margin, but revenue we make out of all our businesses over the next 5 years. This is secure. The way it started was that everything was linked to, how do you save money? And while we've, over the past, decade, we've done great transactions along with the Accenture team in the market. They were accustomed to doing the best deals in the market, so the lowest cost, overall effective cost on rental outflow, etc. They got the best buildings. They had the landlords who made the changes in their structure just because of Accenture wanted it. They got all of that. But when they came to us, and I'm just going to limit my conversation in the case study to the transaction piece, they came to us in 2015, early last year, says that, look, we're doing an RFP and we're going out to the market. We're going shopping to the market because we think that JLL is not doing enough. You've known us for the last 10 years. You have done all our deals. You've done great transactions, so nothing to take away from that side. But you've not done anything beyond your scope. And they said is that how do you integrate? How do you invest in technology? How do you show savings? How do you be proactive in your portfolio? Sustainability is a big thing in Accenture. How do you bring in sustainability? So that's where we had to change the conversation, and it didn't become about broking a transaction. It became about many other things, and I think that's what played out in the RFP process, a request for proposal process with Accenture ran. We almost lost it only on one reason, and that was technology. 40% weightage and selection of a office broker was based on how much investment he's doing in the technology. Technology, it could be anything. It could be tools, it could be how you're using the data, how you're making it, your process streamlined, and it's all about that. And what is the investment with the firm like JLL is putting in. So, we had to change the conversation. Really, our competitors were smarter than us. But eventually, when it played out, it was more about relationship. It was a commitment that, yes, we will make the investment, and that was called out. And then finally, we gave commitments in terms of energy savings. We gave commitments that we will save you so many dollars. We made commitments that we will improve your process. We will improve the satisfaction scores. We linked our fees to key performance indicators. We gave discounts and fastbacks. So the point I'm trying to make it is that these corporates, and that's following across many corporates like Amazon or Microsoft or Google or whoever else you may have. They all look at all these things, and that's what's changing in the real estate sector. The demand is beyond just going and securing space on an office property. It is much larger than that, and luckily for us, we addressed that. We managed to meet their objectives, and we've also we won a regional award called the Da Vinci Awards in JLL to sort of meet the Six Sigma demonstration on. So the point I'm trying to make is that office real estate is very complex. It's a lot of hard work. Transaction takes a lot of time, and the demand for corporate is very different. So that's example on Accenture. Another case study which is more linked to relationship. So whilst that was more on technology and expectation outside of just brokerage services, this was a very different transaction. Now in this, what happened was this was a client with our competition. They were working for 8-10 years with competition, and they always shut the door on us. They said, sorry, we're very happy, we don't want to work with you. But there was one thing which was bothering that company. This was a company owned by KKR, Travis Goldberg, and they wanted to get they spent a lot of money to buy this company. This, by the way, for all those who don't know, was the erstwhile Hughes Software. It's now called Allison. It's gone through a few name changes. But there was this one big land parcel of 17 acres they had in Udyog Vihar, and they didn't know what to do with it. They said, look, we bought it from the government to make our own campus, but the government has said is that, look, we cannot do a campus because the usage, typically every sector is about 200 acres. The usage for the IT park part of it or office project is exhausted. Now, because they sat on it and the government gave other licenses, they could not do it. So what to do with that? So they went and our competitors were running a process, and there was they were saying, look, we can sell it. There were 100 crores or 80 crores, and these guys saying, that's too low a value. We ran a process. We went to the government agency, and we basically figured out the file for that sector, and we said, what is possible? And you figured out that residential was possible. and there was residential FSI, which you call floor space index, or FAR, or floor area ratio, was available. That means that in that sector you could do a residential project. And the team figured out that how the conversion was possible. Now, we took that information, we presented a case, and we said that the valuation can be higher than the 100 crores. And we recommended a very transparent process to be run. That got a foot in the door. And then what Allison did was that they came to us and said, okay, fine, this is great, but now we will, that's what we'll do is that we'll get our competitor and we'll give you a shot at it. So both of you go to the market, run the process, bring in the investors. Whichever investor, if the investor you bring, you get the fee. If the investor, the successful investor is brought in by a competitor, they will the fee. We got in expressions of interest from the market, and so did our competitor. Our competitor got 8 expressions of interest because those are the 8 they were talking to the last 2-3 years. We, through the concept of understanding the residential piece, and at that time, if you remember the property clock, we were in that stage in 2010 where everybody was putting money in residential. So we got 38 expressions of interest, and luckily the successful bidder was one of them. And the highest bid we got through a 2-step transaction process. So we negotiated once, we then went to another round of negotiation, and we upped the price. We got 206 crores for that property. And after that day, Addison exclusively works with JLL, and we got sell-on work. We not only did that transaction, we arranged the private equity for that space, for that land parcel, for the residential project. So our capital market teams made money there. Post that, we sold, we got exclusivity on the sale of residential for X number of units. Our residential team made money. We got the exclusivity on property asset management, which is an annuity business for firm. They made money. But we made tons of money from that one transaction by putting in that hard work of going into that office and opening the file and making a show. And further to that, Addison since then has transacted and consolidated 14 offices in one large IT park in Gurgaon for 1 million square feet. And we've done work for them in Bangalore and in Hyderabad. We've done now 4 or 5 transactions for them globally, and they've appointed us global partners. So in a very short period of 5 years, we managed to make tons and tons of money out of Addison, and through one land parcel of 17 acres, which nobody wanted to touch. The point I'm trying to make here is that this business demands not just you need to be street smart. You need to understand how to make more money, create a deal out of a deal. It's a brokerage business. It's pretty much like investment banking. You want to create a transaction, you want to sell on, make another transaction, you want to sell some other businesses, you want the firm to make money, and that's what really it's all about. So that was this case study. Summary of this is really, which is very important, I think, for you guys over here, is that what really is an ideal consultant, an ideal agent in the markets business in JLL. So firstly, in the initial years, the expectation is that it's very important to understand the building. If you're selling a product, think of it like you're a salesman and you're going to sell a product. This is your building, this is your raw material. You must know what's the process of raw material, which is land, to a finished product through the WIP, work in progress sort of stage. So the understanding of buildings, technically, ownership-wise, etc., is very critical. So knowledge of building, I would say product knowledge is first. Second is market knowledge. Market knowledge means that you must understand supply, demand, all that information sits in the firm, but to go out in the market, roll up your sleeves, walk the buildings, meet with the landlords, understand the product. It's a very, very important key to sort of making a start in the industry. Once you have the market knowledge and you have the product knowledge, then when you come accustomed to a transaction, it's very important to understand analytics. So analytics could mean not just PPT, but it's also about using the firm's technology platform. How can you be more efficient in your way of working? So it's about doing Excel sheets. There are lots of tools which you can just plug in the numbers, but how to make those tools, how to actually do cash flow and NPV analysis. If you do this, how does that impact the balance sheet of a company? So analytical skills become very important. And if you have market knowledge, product knowledge, and analytical skills, you won 75% of the game in terms of relationship. Because the relationship does not get built by taking somebody out for a drink or to buy them a holiday. It does not get built like that. Those are very, very blank and sort of, it's never worked for me. What's really worked for me is all that. And when you get that, you build a relationship because people value you for the knowledge and the hard work you put in. So once you do that, you won 75%, and then it depends very much on the individual. You know, how the individual's communication skills are, his ability to write and to communicate. It's all about over communication. You know, because you might say that, for example, I've made a call and explained the concept. You liked it. You know, you said, I've done my job. But the point is you have to continue to follow up because people's memories are short. So continuous communication, written, spoken, and that's how you basically create business development skills. So, you know, this is something which, you know, we look for as a firm when we hire. It's not a, I mean, there are a lot of people who now that the firm's hired, who learned this on the job. In the last 15 years, we didn't know about these concepts. We just, either you had it or you did not. But now I think when you look back on it, you realize that these are the things that become more important. Real estate is today where banking was an industry 20 years ago. Banking today sort of started to top out and it started to sort of fall away because I think it's getting more and more commoditized. But real estate still has a lot of momentum going for it. Our business is also getting commoditized with the advent of technology, aggregator firms, etc. But you know, for us, it is more about doing the basic things right and creating the difference, investing in technology. The 2020 vision for JLL in India is to be the best technology company in real estate. That's how fast the world is changing. And if you need to be up there, then this is what's required.